Hi, my crafty friends. Welcome to another episode of Angela Shows You. In this episode, I thought that we would go over how to make a cup cozy. So you've seen these probably in some of the coffee shops, if you're lucky, because it seems like a lot of times when I am at places, they run out or they're just those paper ones and they fall off or they don't always do a really good job of just protecting your hand from your cup. So, you've seen these, they're usually cardboard when they're at like Panera or Starbucks. And then and there's, you are oftentimes just in a solid piece and you wrap it around your cup. So these are those, and these would make a wonderful gift to somebody. And they're nice because they're fairly small, they're flat, so it's something that you could keep in your car. So if you're going through the drive-through at um McDonald's or Dunkin' or Tim Hortons or something like that, and you're ordering a hot cup of hot chocolate or hot tea, or because not everybody is a coffee drinker, but we oftentimes get a hot cup or even a cold cup, and you want something to protect your hands. So these are nice because these will fold right around your cup and keep your hands either getting burned holding a hot cup, or keep them from getting too cold if you're getting something that's iced. Now these will fit around their standard cups, either like the 8 ounce or the 10 ounce cups. So what I actually did was I found a free downloadable template. If you just go to all I did was just I went to and did a Google search, and I found a free downloadable template and I printed it off. And then I actually just went ahead and I attached mine to a piece of cardstock so that it was a little bit thicker than a piece of paper. So, and then I just made myself a note because you're going to Velcro on either side of the finished product. So this one is almost finished product. It looks like I must have so this is an almost finished product. All this needs is Velcro. And then, so what I'm going to do is I'll add Velcro on one side, and then I'll flip it over and I'll add the Velcro to the other side. So I've got my Velcro here, and then I have the other piece on this side. So when I wrap it around, it meets. So the reason why you could make your own template, they're not very difficult. It's just getting the curve. It's slightly curved at the top, and then of course it's slightly curved down here as well, so that when you turn it, it is like a flat. It's flat. It sits flat. So you could always just take a piece of paper and you would measure. So this finished product, so this is 2.5 inches. So it's about 3 inches, give or take. So you could cut something, but you would have to cut a square, and then I would take my paper. If you were making your own template, I would take my paper and I would make a piece and I would fold it in half, and then the first thing I would do is I would cut ever so slightly a curve. So if this is in half, our curve is about 1/2 inch. And then I would take and I would do the same on the top. So I would cut this one, I would cut up, and then the top piece I would cut the opposite direction so that you end up with something that is curved on both pieces. But I would do, like, if you don't have a printer, then that would be a way to obtain, make your own. It's fairly simple. And then the finished product is from tip to tip. It's about 10.5 inches. So of course you would want to cut that a little bit bigger because you're going to need a seam allowance. So that is the finished product. That's the finished sewn product measurements. So if you wanted to cut your own, the template from start to end is about 11.25, and then height wise it's about 4.25. So easy enough to create your own. So what I've already done here is I've cut my material. So I have 2 pieces of fabric and I have a piece of cotton batting. You could also use a piece of fusible fleece. And then I'm just going to put my 2 pieces of material right sides together. And then I'm going to put my piece of cotton on top of one of those pieces. So I've got my sandwich. I have 2 pieces of material right sides together, and then 1 piece of cotton batting that I sewed. Now I'm going to start a little bit more than halfway down from the bottom here. Do a back stitch, and we're just going to go around. You're going to want to go a little bit slow because you want to follow the curve of the your fabric sandwich here. So we're just going to follow that around. When you get to your corner, leave the needle down. Pivot your material, come up the one side. When I get to my next corner, I'm going to leave the needle down. I'm going to lift up my presser foot a little bit, pivot my material, and come around. And now this side, I'm going to just want to take it slow so I can follow the curve of my cup holder. Okay, down, pivot. Last time. Now don't forget, you want to leave yourself some space to turn this right side out. Okay, so there we go. Now the next thing that we're going to want to do is I'm going to use these scissors that give me I don't know what they're called, but I like to use these when I'm doing something that is curved, because I feel like it helps to cut, it helps it lay a little bit flatter. You want to cut be very careful that you don't cut too far in, because of course you don't want to cut into your stitch mark. There we go. Now, if you don't have a pair of these scissors, of course, you can always just use your fabric scissors, and I would just cut, you know, just make little, I would just make a bunch of little cuts in there, because I do feel like doing that does help the material lay a little bit flatter. Those scissors, though, they do, they give you a lot of little tiny pieces. So then what we're going to do is we're just now going to turn that right side out now. These are so easy to make, and they're a great way to use up if you have like long skinny pieces of leftover material. These are a great thing, a great way to use up some scraps. So we're just going to turn it right side out. I think turning it right side out probably takes about as long as it does to actually sew. Now I'm just going to take a pen and I'm going to just help myself here. And I, of course, I want to poke out those corners. I've got a little bit of a bunch going on in there. There we go. There we go. And then I am going to just really make sure there we go. Not bad, right? So then once I have that turned right side out, you just of course want to make sure your turning gap, this one already did, the fabric is already nicely tucked back in itself. So what I will go ahead and do from here is I just give this a little bit of a, just give it a quick little press, because it does help, because it's so small, giving it a little bit of a press is actually going to help that lay nice and flat. Especially where your turn gap is. I just really want to make sure that that is I just am using this knitting needle to poke those. I really want the turn gap area to be nice and flat. And then the last step, second to last step, so then you'll go through and you'll do a top stitch all the way around. And then you will add your Velcro, and then you are done. So like I said, this is so easy. It's a quick project, and it is a great way to use up a long skinny strap. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to end the video, because you know you've got this from here, top stitch all the way around. It makes it just have a nice finished look, and of course you want to close up your turn hole and add your Velcro, and then you're done. Now I'm using peel and stick Velcro. You could use iron-on Velcro, and of course you could always use a piece of sew-on Velcro, but I don't have problem with the peel and stick Velcro. It adheres really, really well, so that's what I am using in this. So I hope that you will go on, find, like I said, there's tons of free download. Don't pay for one. There's tons of people out there who have these free templates, so don't pay for one. But some of them don't have instructions, or some of them have written instructions, but I know that I like to watch it. Sometimes the written instructions don't always necessarily make sense, especially if they're literally just written instructions. Sometimes some of the people will give a nice, like a step-by-step with pictures, and I find that to be helpful. But if you don't find that, then you'll at least have this to refer back to. But these really are super easy, and I think that they're really practical too. So I think that this is something that I'm gonna just top stitch this one. And I like cats. I sewed this one upside down. Well, actually, no, I didn't. So this might just be something that I choose to keep in my car. And I actually, even though I sew to sell, this material, I had used this for something else. And when I cut it, I wasn't very careful. And I have the seam mark from the previous project that this was. I had used this material. I made a Cricut cover for my old Cricut machine for my Explorer. And I got the Maker, and it's bigger than the Explorer. So the Cricut cover that I had previously sewn no longer fit, so I decided to reuse the material from my Cricut cover. So I made 2 of those. So I've got one in the works. This one doesn't have any funky seams, but yeah, this one had that seam on it. So I'm just going to keep this one for myself. And I think that this is probably something that I'll just go ahead and leave right in my car. And that way, next time I go through the drive-through, um, not that I do it very often, or, if I run in to McDonald's or something and I get hot tea, I'll have this already with me so that I don't have to burn my fingers on the super lava hot cup of hot water that they give out. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for more. Have a great night.